All right, welcome Algebra 1. Let's do this. We got Mr. G, we got your best friend the koala, aka Kiwi, and we will learn how to create a box and whisker plot. The game plan for today is let's review the ideas of making a histogram, and then from there we're going to show a different way of how you could show data values. So here what I'd like you to do is pause the video, take your time, have this in your notes, right? And let's read the essential question today. What are the many ways that we can express data values? So Mr. Gajari asked his Algebra 1 class, hey, how tall are you? And in inches. And just to review, just so we have an idea, remember that 1 foot is 12 inches. So then all of you are somewhere between 5 feet and 6 feet. So 5 feet, if 1 foot is 12 inches, 5 feet would be how many inches, right? Pause the video. If you pause the video, it would be 60 inches. And notice that this notation here of the double line like that means inches. And then this would be 72 inches, right? Okay, so now here, let's say some students said, hey, I'm 64 inches tall, or 5 foot 4 inches tall, and 68 inches tall, 62, la 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 la. Here are the data values. And take a second. What does the data mean to you? How can you interpret from it, how can you interpret the data values to gather a conclusion, right? Okay, so let's review the idea from yesterday, which was creating a histogram. The first thing I would like you to do is, hey, take these data values and let's organize it from least to greatest. Pause the video and try and do that, okay? So let's say you pause the video. Here should be the data values from least to greatest, okay? Let's get a brand new page and let's go into, oops, sorry, where's the page? Wait, sorry, let me pause the video, sorry. Your ruler and let's create the frequency distribution for these data values, right? We organized it from least to greatest. And now what I'd like us to do is create the frequency distribution. Now, for the questions that we did yesterday, you were given the interval. So if I were to ask you, hey, let's pause the video and think about it, how should we create the interval range for the height of the students, right? Remember that these are the data values. The interval catches the data values, right, within a specific range. So how would you make the interval? What should be the least value, and how would you do it? So yeah, some things to think about. Like imagine if I just had 2 interval ranges, right? Like let's say if I just said something between 60 and 69 and 70 and 79, how would our data values look? How would our graph look if we just had these 2 interval ranges to capture all these data values, right? Imagine like if I just had a graph that was like this and it said, hey, this is 60 to 69 and this is 70 to 79. Notice that you're only having 2 bars, right? It's not gonna be a good spread of the data, right? So that is one thing that you wanna show is have a nice spread. Show your data values well. And note something that has to be true within the intervals, that the range has to be the same. So like when we take a look at this, if I have 60 to 62, 63 to 65, 60, like notice that the difference between this one and this one is 2. And it's consistent. If I have something like this, right, where I'm saying, oh, let's try and get these intervals, notice this has a difference of 2, this has a difference of 3, right? Like they're not consistent, and that's no bueno, okay? And yeah, and also they shouldn't repeat the numbers. Like take a look over here, like I shouldn't have a 75 and a 75 here. Like the values should always be different within the interval ranges. So something to note that make sure you have a nice spread, show your data values well. Note that the intervals must have an equal range, right? The range here is 2. None of the values repeat, and the range is consistent, okay? I know this was a lot, what I'd like you to do is pause the video, have this in your notes, right? Please write this in your notes. And yeah, let's continue. So like, let's say we have one interval from, let's say 60 to 63, 64, oh, let me write it over here, 64 to, you see, if this is an interval of 3, I'm sorry, a range of 3, then what number would have to go here, right? This would be 67, and then this would be what? 68 to 71, and then 71 to 74. Okay, so this is our interval range. And then what I'd like you to do is take a second and tally it up, right? How would I put these data values here, right? You have the data values written. 61 goes where? It goes in here, right? So then I cancel it out. 62, where does it go? In here. Cancel it out. 62 goes here. Cancel it out. 63 goes here. Cancel it out. This one goes here, right? 63 goes in here. 64 goes where? In this one. And notice that you see how when it's organized, it's very nice for you. This one goes here. 65 goes here. 66 goes here. 67 also goes here. 68 is here. Bam. Okay, and notice we didn't even need this one, so I guess you could just put this as 0, right? So here we tallied it up to 6, we tallied it up to 5, we tallied it up to 3, and then voila, you have your frequency distribution. So once you have this nice beautiful table, well, what I'd like you to do is create the histogram, right? Pause the video. How can you make the histogram from these data values? What I'd like you to do is show me your notes from yesterday, right? Go back to your notes. What must the histogram have? Okay? What must the histogram have? Right? Here, if I were to draw the histogram and make sure you have a lovely ruler with you, right? Our y-axis over here will show, what will the y-axis show? Right? This will be the frequency. And now here, pause. If you drew a line like this, there is one thing I forgot to show you yesterday. Here, so let's just take a look at this. Small note. Because our interval has there's no 0 within our interval, right? Because there's no student that is 0 inches tall, we have to show the histogram like this. Because with the interval, like 0 goes here, but there's nothing in between 0 and 60, right? So what you do is you kind of show this gap that like 60 to 63 is that first part of my interval, right? You're not going to put the 60 over here at like the intersection. And what you do is, if I don't have 0 as a data value, you're going to show the histogram like this. You're telling the reader, or you're telling yourself, there are no data values between 0 and your first interval. So then that's what we need to show with the histogram. So it has to go something like this, and then I create the line like this, right? And then here you could be very specific with your ruler, right? Because what were some key notes within the histogram? You have to have no gaps, and also the rectangles must have equal width. So make sure you're very nice with your ruler, right? And then maybe we can create, how many do we have? I guess 1 inch per interval, right? Right, this is my first interval is what? 60 to 63 inches in height, 64 to 67, and then the next one is 68 to 71. And then here on the y-axis, right, here we call this the class intervals. Then here my frequency would be what? Like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So how many people were between 60 and 63 inches tall? It was 6 people, right? So make sure, don't cheat, use your ruler, make nice rectangles just like this, right? And then down. Okay. You see, I cheated there just a little bit just because I need to speed up the video, but you get the idea. How many were between 64 and 67? How many people? 64 to 67 was 5 people. And then we have 68 to 71, there were 3 people. And then bam, here is my histogram showing these data values, okay? So this was just a review of yesterday. Hopefully this helped and we got this and we understood this notation over here. But what was the essential question for today? Let's just take a look back. What was the essential question that we need to do? It is, where is the paper? Where is the paper? It was to create other forms of data values. And one thing I'm going to create for you is how do you make a box and whisker plot, okay? So here, this is, when we make the histogram, it's one way of showing data values, but there are other more efficient ways. And there are some benefits of the histogram, and there are also some not so great things about a histogram. And we'll compare the two, okay? So here, I'm not sure if you've done this before with your other algebra or math classes, but here we're gonna create a box and whisker plot. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna say, hey, organize our data values, right? So take a second, and what I'd like you to do is copy this into your notes, right? Have this in your notes. These were the data values we talked about, right? We had people who were 61 inches tall to 71 inches tall. And then within a box and whisker plot, there are going to be 5 important data values that we're going to highlight. We're going to highlight the minimum, Q1, Q2, Q3, and the max. And I'll explain what these Q1, Q2, Q3s mean. Here, very straightforward, what is the minimum would be the lowest data value, the maximum is the highest data value, and then we have to find the median. And if it's been a minute since we've understood this word, it's okay, I'm going to go through it with you. So let's just go through the steps, and I promise you this won't be too bad. Step 1, I organize the data values, right? And let's identify the minimum, which is the lowest value within our data set. It's 61 inches, right? So, okay, we could write that over here, 61 inches. What is the highest value? It is 71 inches. Okay, that's the tallest person in the room. Now here, how do you find the median? The median is like the middlemost number. So we play this favorite game that I'm pretty sure you've done before many times. All you need to do is to find the median is go from left to right, canceling numbers until you get the middle number. So first I cancel this one, then I cancel this one. Then I cancel this one, then I cancel this one. And I think you have done this before, right? Okay, then I do these, because I want to find the middlemost number. Then I do these, then I do these, and then, what is that middlemost number? It's 64. Great, okay, so then 64 inches is my Q2. Q2 is the median. And we completed step 1, right? Identify the minimum, identify the maximum, and notice that this value over here is my Q2. Okay. Now, so far so good, yeah? How do you find Q1? Well, let's see. What does it mean to find Q1? It's saying find the median between the minimum value, right? And where is the minimum? It's this one, and Q2. So what you need to do is you need to find the median between these set of numbers, right? Find the median between these set of numbers. So let's say if I write these numbers out, if I have 61, 62, 62, 63, 63, 64, right? These are the numbers between the minimum and Q2, right? These are all the numbers in between. Then you play your favorite game. You're going to find the median, the middlemost number between these set of numbers. Okay, so I cancel this one, I cancel this one, I cancel this one, I cancel this one, and Notice that here we had an odd number of data values, right? So we had one left. Here, notice I have two numbers left. And then here, what you do is you find the average of these two numbers. So all I have to do is take 62 plus 63, divide by 2. What is the number in the middle of 62 and 63? It's 62.5. So 62.5 inches would be represented as Q1, right? 62.5, because this 62.5 is the median between here and here. What do you think you're going to do for Q3? Right? What would be the next step? How would I find Q3? I'm going to find the median between Q2 and the max, which is here. And you find the median between these numbers. Okay, if you want, pause the video and try it. But I think you know what it is. So this is 65, 66, 67, 68, 70, 71. You play your favorite game. Cancel, 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 cancel. Uh-oh. I'm left with two numbers in between. What's the average of these two numbers? It would just be 67.5. It's like what's in between that. And then what is this one? This is right here, 67.5. And that would be Q3. Okay, I know this was a lot, so we'll put a little happy face. But here, once you have these data values, now we're going to create the graph. How do you create the box and whisker plot using these data values, right? What I could do is I could just rewrite it again. The minimum, Q1, Q2, Q3, the max, right? The minimum was what? 61, Q1 is 62.5, this was 64, this was 67.5, and the max was 71. What you do is you have this number line, and notice that all our data values are between 60 and 70. What you do is, let me maybe draw it with the pink. I first show my minimum value. Where is my minimum value? And let's zoom in a little bit. My minimum value is 61. So then I show a little tick over there. What's my maximum value? It's 71. So where is that? It's somewhere like here. Okay. Now, where's my Q1? My Q1 is 62.5, which is somewhere here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a little bit of a longer line. And where is my Q? Like first we look, this is the first one we look at. This is the second one we look at. This is the third one we look at. The fourth one we look at is here. Where is my Q3, 67.5? It's somewhere like here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a box. And here is my whisker. And then where is my Q2 of 64? It's right here, give or take. Maybe I should have had the tick like right here or something. Like that should be 64. But then this is it. This is a box and whisker plot. Here, remember that it shows the min, which is this data value here. This is Q1, this is Q2, this is Q3, and this is the max. Okay? And this is just another way of showing data. So notice that for this picture, or for these data values, right? When we talked about height, right? When we took all these, where was the sticky note? Right? When we took out all these data values, we showed it in two different ways. We showed the histogram, and we showed the box and whisker plot. But if I were to take a look at the two, and if I were to say, like, hey, let me see if I can get a good camera angle, right? And let me write this on a sticky note very quickly, and something for you to think about. What are the pros of the histogram versus the box plot? Right? Like, is there a reason, which one do you like better? Like, is there something a histogram shows that a box and whisker plot doesn't show? Is there something a box and whisker plot shows that a histogram doesn't show? So what I want you to do is think about that. I want you to pause the video and think about it. Like, what are the advantages of the histogram versus here? What are the advantages of the box and whisker plot versus here? Right? Something to think about. If I said, hey, who was the shortest person? Or what was the lowest height? Does a histogram tell you that data value? Like, the lowest height was what? It was 61 inches, right? That was the lowest height. Notice that the histogram doesn't tell me that data value. But the box and whisker plot does, because if I take a look at this, I know this is my minimum. I know this is my maximum. This was my tallest person. Here, I don't know who was the tallest person, right? It could have been at 70 inches or at 69 inches. So that's why this one has its advantages. But what does a histogram tell you that maybe a box and whisker plot doesn't? If I said, hey, how many data values are here? How many? You can count, right? How many were over here? It was 6. How many were over here? It was 5. How many were over here? It was 3. 6 plus 5 is 11, plus 3 is 14 data values. But here, I don't know how many data values I have, but it does show me a different idea of the information. Okay, I know this was a lot. I will see you in class, and we'll discuss more.